This is the story of 15 ordinary people kayaking the Mekong River in Laos between Pak Beng and Luang Prabang. About 150 kilometers in length and with plenty of rapids, whirlpools and cross currents to deal with, the trip was organized to help promote the A4D Foundation, which helps children with type 1 diabetes in Laos and in neighboring countries. It's early in the morning and we're here getting ready for the buses to take us down to the river. I'm with some of the intrepid travellers. I wonder if I can get a quick word in with one or two of them. Excuse me, Bernard, is it?
Hi, morning.
Yeah.
Yes, it's Bernard.
I hear you're a very experienced kayaker. Can you tell us about some of those experiences?
Yes, about 25 years ago I was going down a little river in Hawaii, and that's about it.
Oh, perfect. So you're absolutely ready for this trip?
I'm super ready. I don't know what I've gotten into, but let's see. Let's talk again when I'm finished.
Thank you, Bernard. Who else is around here? James, let's have a quick chat with you. I believe you have won awards for your kayaking brilliance. Is that right?
Not quite.
Oh, right, okay.
I have managed to capsize one and unsuccessfully managed to not write it.
They say experience, though, is very important, so that's good news, right?
Well, not really. I mean, I'm just doing things at this age for things I'm really physically unsuitable for.
Brilliant. Let's go. Hey, Simon, you've been around quite a bit on boats and things, have you?
Absolutely not.
Oh,
but I'm looking forward to kayaking down, hopefully with big aid from my partner at the back of the boat. So,
do you know which way you should point?
presumably towards Luang Prabang.
That's it. Brilliant.
Excellent.
Mate. Brilliant. You're on. I've got Perotto. I want to get a quick word in if I can just interrupt. Perotto, you look like you're a man of action. Tell us about your canoeing and kayaking experience.
Well, I have no experience, but I can swim.
That's perfect, mate. Well done. Anyone around here that I can nobble? Yeah, Liza, can I just lean across and ask you about some of your experiences on a boat? You probably, are you the team leader?
Absolutely.
Yeah, what are you going to have your team doing today?
Paddling hard.
Paddling
hard, and looking after me.
Looking after you, you're the team leader.
I know, but then I don't know what I'm doing.
Perfect, it's just like everyone else. Anyone else looking? Can we grab here? Yeah, I see someone over getting dressed even, looking ready.
So I'm getting the A4D shirt on.
Oh yeah, tell us about the shirt.
Well, the shirt was actually designed, I think, was it designed by Nicholas? Jerry Gore, one of the co-founders of the charity.
Yeah, I've heard of him. He's a mountaineer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And type 1 diabetic. Very striking design.
Yeah. Talking about a minute, what a body, right? You've honed that over the years, I see.
I'll quickly cover up. I'm holding my tummy in.
No, you can breathe out, by the way.
This is the remains of a once passable body.
Absolutely, people walk straight past it today.
Exactly.
So I'm with Charles Toomey, and we're just about to start this fantastic 6-day kayaking trip down the Mekong River. Charles, tell us a little bit about your ambitions for this trip.
Well, I think there's two real key objectives, one of which is we want to have a lot of fun, right? So it's something unique and special. I mean, no one who's joined on the trip has ever done anything like this, certainly on the Mekong. So it's first for me too, and I'm very excited about it. The other one is to raise funds for our charity Action for Diabetes, which provides free medication and education support for young folk with type 1 diabetes across Southeast Asia. But for this particular trip, we're raising funds for the program in Laos.
Now we're going to be talking about the charity and how people can help if they want to later on. We'll be putting all of those little links in there. But I understand from your background you've led some really great groups of people on missions over your life. In your military days, you commanded some good people in good things. How do you think your team on this trip stacks up to them?
Well, that's a very good question. Later on tonight we'll be measuring some of their dimensions, and I think they're probably slightly larger than I used to see, particularly around the girth area in my teams when I was in the military. However, I mean, the most important thing right now, I think, is the general enthusiasm. It's also very good news we're going with the flow of the river, and it's flowing about 5 or 6 kilometers an hour. So I think irrespective of people's physical sort of fitness levels, once we get in the canoe, as long as we don't capsize too often, we should be able to achieve our...
We've got to make sure we're pointing down the river.
maybe we got to make sure we're pointed down the river and don't overshoot where we stop. Otherwise, we've got to paddle up against quite a strong flow.
That would be terrible. So we've got the team over there. So perhaps we could just have a quick glimpse of this hardened troop.
When the weather is fine, then you know it's a sign for messing about on the river. If you take my advice, there's nothing so nice as messing about on the river. There are long boats and short boats and all sorts of craft.
This is day 3 of the kayak trip down the Mekong to Lamprabang. We've had 3 very hectic days on the water, staying at this beautiful little beach called Hat Tan, which I think means rapids, if I've got it right. So let's go and have a chat with some of the intrepid paddlers and find out how they're getting on. I'm going to go and have a word with Ben. Ben, can I interrupt you in the middle of breakfast? Just get a few words about the trip here today. How are you getting on so far?
Yes, very well. Great trip, and I think we have great experience so far. Nice bunch of people, nice friends.
Yeah. I hear you don't think there's enough physical exercise for you, so you went back out again up to the rapids 3 kilometers up the water last night. Only two.
Yeah. But it's quite exhausting, I would say.
Which way is easier, upstream or downstream?
Obviously downstream.
Okay, thank you. These are the tips we need for future paddlers. Bernard, how's it going?
Very well. I have muscles I didn't even know about.
Whereabouts are those?
No comment.
Okay, at least you found them, right?
Yeah,
now, I hear you're in the front of Ben's boat.
Yes.
Are you having to do much of the arm work?
It's a very relaxing exercise. I'm a coordinator.
Peter, we did a bit of kayaking yesterday. How does this compare to some of the other trips we've been on over the years, like the Yukon, for example?
Oh, I think it's equally stunning. It's beautiful. I came looking for calmness, tranquility, and I got rapids, people falling in, getting drunk every night. What a difference.
Any snoring?
There was a bit of snoring I heard from several tents. Yeah, it was rather loud. I thought it was wild animals at first, but it turns out to be human beings.
Someone told me it was a barking deer, but that wasn't true.
Well, unless it was in a tent with a sleeping bag on.
Day 3, beautiful little campsite. What's your highlight of the trip so far, Kunai?
Wow.
Thank you very much for that. And sorry, apologies. Sorry.
For me, it's really, I cannot say anything for this trip.
Yeah.
Oh, very scary for me.
Scary?
Yes.
You mean the snoring at night?
That is normal for me, but scary in the water.
Did you go in yet?
Yes, I'm on the first.
You were first in. Congratulations,
yes,
that's well
thank you
done.
very much.
Liza, have you been in the water yet?
Yeah, I've been in twice.
Oh, it's quite well done.
Good count.
I saw you tidying everything up last night, helping. We've got this fantastic crew of people with us.
They're brilliant, aren't they? They are fantastic, and their food is excellent.
It is incredible,
it's
isn't
great,
it?
Isn't it? Love it.
Night 4, we're around the table. We've just pulled up on the banks of we're getting close to Lamprabang at the moment. Irrawaddy, yeah, thank you very much. Is it? No. It's a Mekong. That's it, the Mekong. We're on the banks of the Mekong. And there have been a few issues. It's been a fabulous trip, of course, but there have been a few issues and a few people haven't behaved as they should have been. So I'm here with Bernd. And Bernd, on a scale of 1 to 10, who's annoyed you the most?
You, obviously, Nigel. Who else?
Well, what's a number?
I would say an 11 out of 10.
Yeah, okay. Can you tell me what for?
Because you make these interviews.
Now, is there anything else that's troubled you at all as we've gone through the week?
A little bit of snoring, I would say.
Yeah, and you're going to point to any of the culprits here?
No, I don't want to make more friends than I have already.
And now I'm with the Americans. And first of all, I've got Mike here. Mike, on a scale of 1 to 10, has anyone annoyed you? And if so, who's annoyed you the most?
I can't really think of anybody who's annoyed me at all.
Oh, what a sweet one.
Even Bernd.
And now why would you bring up Bernd's name at this?
Because I know he took our name in vain and he blames us for sinking him. You know, and this was an incident where I think we were completely blameless. I think we were...
Okay, you apparently broadsided him from the back in the middle of a whirlpool. And how would that be blameless?
We were going straight ahead,
Were you
and
driving?
we were trying to go through the whirlpool. I'd already survived a near drowning before in the previous whirlpool, and we were going straight ahead, and Greg said, let's just keep going, because we got the full head of steam.
So you're blaming your co-pilot, Greg, on this one, are you?
I blame the whirlpool.
And then there was a kayak right in front of us, came out of nowhere, and it was...
So it's a German's fault, in a way.
Yeah, I don't want to blame Bernd because, you know, to be fair, he and Bernd...
He's a lot bigger than you.
Well, they saved us as well. In a subsequent incident, we did fall over, and Greg and I tipped over, and Bernd came out of nowhere and reached out his hand and helped us get back on board.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how much would you like Bernd?
How much would I like him?
How many points out of 10 would you give him?
I give him a 10. He's a very likable guy.
These Americans, the diplomacy from these Americans again. The nights on the riverbank were magical. A campfire, plenty of food, lots to drink, and a ton of things to talk about.
When the weather is fine, and you know it's a sign for messing about on the river. If you take my advice, there's nothing so nice as messing about on the river. There are long boats and short boats and all sorts of craft.
A favourite moment on the trip? Will you remember the most about this trip?
When I got a campsite.
Campsite?
Yes.
What about the campsites?
Because I'm not expert about when I canoe, and then I got the campsite in the third person in the water, and then...
Oh, you were the first person in the
I'm
water.
first
Congratulations.
person. Thank you very much. And then also I can't swim.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then I cannot swim.
No, well, okay.
Yeah, and then I'm just feel a bit scared, but after that, okay, I feel fine.
Be here. Ouch. Richard, favourite moment of the trip, most memorable moment, perhaps?
Really hard to pick, isn't it? Because there have been so many fabulous moments. I mean, I could cheat and say the whole thing, but I don't think that's what you're after. I suspect one of my 4 capsizes.
Anyone in particular?
Well, there was a whirlpool one where there was sort of the maelstrom going round and round, and Liza and me hanging on to a canoe, and then we got safely spat out of it. We were rescued by our great guides, and everyone had a laugh about it afterwards. But you know, that was one of many memorable moments. I mean, like the food, which was fantastic. I really enjoyed the food and the company of everybody else, and just the scenery, and our homestay too. That was great fun. Anyway, but the whirlpool.
Thanks, Richard. Liza, most memorable moment on the trip?
Most memorable, probably falling in the water on several occasions. So that's not really one memorable thing. But
who were you on the boat with?
When I fell in, my husband.
Richard.
Yes,
yeah. He mentioned that his most memorable moment was the whirlpool, and that the two of you whirled around it for a little while. Are you proud of yourself, having gone from start to finish?
Fantastic. I've enjoyed it so much more than I thought I would, and I've got a bit more of an idea about kayaking than I did for a week. It's just been magical. It's been perfect. The food was fantastic, the staff were fantastic, But I think probably the best thing was just meeting lots of new people and just working as a team and helping each other out, and it's just been brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
But favourite moment of the trip, most memorable thing that happened?
Well, I think everybody will say something about the Mekong, I guess. So I thought about the team. I think we have met great guys, very different backgrounds. I think also even from a professional point of view, very different things. So it was very, very interesting to chat to everybody, learn a little bit about each other. And I think we have been a fantastic team because it was fantastic. It was a great time, and I think it's one of the trips that I certainly will remember, forever, I would say.
Enough exercise for you?
Could have been a little bit more exercise, obviously. Would appreciate it, but it's fine, you know. It was a relaxing time on the rivers. It's a lot of fun. Enjoyed it. A lot of laugh.
Great. Got to the end of the trip, and we're at the Living Craft Centre in Luang Prabang. Beautiful little place right on the riverside. And with James. James, what was your most memorable moment from the trip?
It's a hard one, this, because I think what I'm going to say, the most memorable thing from the trip, it's not one event. It was the fact that everything on paper, it lived up to expectation. It put us out of our comfort zone, and most importantly, the logistics have been absolutely fantastic in an operation that could have had a lot of hiccups on the way. So I would honestly say my most memorable moment or moments is how well the whole trip went. People were great. It was one of the best 4 or 5 days I've had for a very, very long time.
Thanks, Ozzy. Bernard, what's that one thing about this trip that you remember would take away with you?
The witty English humor.
Oh,
wow. with all the people and a lot of British on the board. It was really fun to have that.
So that was the one thing.
The one thing.
Did it match up to German humor?
No, not this German humor.
There's no such thing.
No.
I'm with Peter, and the only man to get from the start to the finish without falling into the water. Just a quick few words on that. How do you do that?
I just hung onto the boat as hard as I could, and I thought I'm not going to fall off.
Would you give any tips to the other paddlers who fell in multiple times during the trip?
Yeah, don't overcompensate when it tilts.
Very, very good advice. And I'm asking everyone, what was their most memorable moment of the trip?
Well, I didn't know what to expect, I have to say, and it really did exceed my expectations. And to pick out any one thing is difficult, because it really was a high from the whole time. I guess if I had to choose one thing, honestly, it would be I knew no one apart from yourself here at all, and the camaraderie and the people on the trip was just fantastic. I enjoyed our company so much. It was great.
Thanks, Peter. Mike, last evening, I believe you travelled halfway around the world for this incredible trip. What's the most memorable moment from that trip?
Well, I think it came very early on because, as you know, we went through several rapids during this trip. But the biggest one was the very first one, at least it's the first that I remembered, when we got dumped into a whirlpool. And I think you saw me because you were right behind me. But I got sucked in, and my shoes were sucked off as well as my prescription eyeglasses.
Oh,
and so I came out of that. I think I was down for about 10 seconds, but it was pretty hairy. I mean, I'd never been in a situation like that before.
Yeah.
But it was nice to get out of that.
You won't forget it, I guess, right?
No.
Did you have any positive moments that you remember?
Well, I think positive.
Staying alive was positive, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I was very happy to hear from Charles the description of his program, the Action for Diabetes organization, and very proud as an American. The American company Eli Lilly has donated insulin to this organization through the year 2030.
Wow.
Which is going to save quite a number of Lao children from diabetes, type 1 diabetes, and so I think that's very important. Our guide also mentioned that Laos was the #1 country in terms of handling the COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
Through their vaccines, and of course these were mainly donated by the U.S. government through COVAX.
Oh, fantastic.
So I think we were able to vaccinate the vast majority of the Lao population. So
yeah,
I think that was another good news story that we heard.
Greg, favourite moment, most memorable moment of the whole 5-6 days out in that river?
Thank you, Nigel. That's a tough one, but for me, I guess you would guess it was those engagements with the children on the shore. As we pulled up the boat to the various beaches for stops and overnights, we had a pack of penny balloons, and they would come out in force, and just to see their genuine joy, their innocence, and their again, their authentic spirit. You know, we didn't see a single cell phone or iPad or Oculus on any of these kids.
Yeah.
They were playing with handmade slingshots. They were fashioning brick walls out of the brick from the beach, and you know, to give them a 1 penny balloon was sent them over the moon. What a joy that was.
They seem to have a lot of fun. Mothers were coming out and saying, "I've got 3 children.
Right,
Give me 3 balloons."
Right.
I mean, what made you think of that? I mean, that's very considerate of you. But how did you get to that?
Great question. You know, I used to motorcycle around, you know, the world really, and one of the great ways to get into a community where they don't know you and you don't speak the language is through the kids.
Yeah.
And motorcycle treks through Vietnam, we'd always pack balloons. You could stop us alongside, and the adults would be very suspicious. You blow up a couple balloons, the kids come, and then the parents come a few minutes later. It's just a great, lightweight, cheap, easy.
So great trip.
Great trip. Thank you,
James. How'd it go?
I survived. I survived. I'm here. I have been sucked in, spun round and spat out by a whirlpool, and that's never happened to me before, and it happened several times. Don't really recommend it as a daily regime. But I think one of your questions was, what's my favourite moment? It's so hard to say. So hard to say.
Do you have something that you'll remember?
I think some of the sunrises on the river were just absolutely spectacular. And then the thought that, you know, every day we're doing this, we're not just doing it for ourselves, we're doing it for Action for Diabetes.
Yeah.
And it will save us some lives.
Yeah. How good's that?
And it doesn't get any better.
And we saved our own a few times.
I don't think so. So that's, but you know, waking up in the morning saying, God, I hurt everywhere apart from my nose. How can it hurt so much when I've been sat down all day? And then thinking, okay, but it's good. We're doing something that's going to save some people's lives. So good feeling.
Thanks, Dave. Richard, favourite moment, most memorable moment of the trip?
Actually, my favourite moment was the evening we spent in the village, actually, and the reception that we were given by the Laos, and the whole ambience was great. And when I found out that the owner of the boat also owned the village, I thought, that's wonderful. You know, why give business to anybody else when you could do a really good job here? You know, it's my favourite moment.
Yeah, you did a lot of paddling there yourself, and did you fall in at all?
We fell in 6 times actually. So every day we sort of fell in, apart from today, but we fell in twice 2 days ago. So we're leading. We're on the leaderboard.
But it never slowed you down. You kept at it, and it was quite a
we
tough
kept
paddle,
at
wasn't
It's quite a tough paddle, particularly with James, who was taking a lot of photographs.
He was very gracious about you.
He is. Yeah, he's going to buy me a large drink later on.
Great, thanks, Richard. Thanks. Piroto, the best moment, the most memorable moment of this trip?
Without doubt, it's the evening after hard work, sit around the campfire with all the team, discussing, talking, sharing, great moments. For me, that's the...
There were 3 evenings around, 4 evenings around campfire. Any one of them stood out the most? Which was there one special moment?
Probably the last one.
Yeah.
Where we had also the people from the local village where we stayed.
Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about the big event.
No.
I'm talking about actually last night.
Last night, yeah.
I think that was
phenomenal night, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, Pat. Simon, most memorable moment on the trip? Anything not anything, the thing that stood out most in the last week?
The camaraderie of the group, helping when people fell in the drink.
We didn't just leave you there.
No, and you could have done. The sense of accomplishment, going out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Individually, surviving 5 days with James Osborne.
It wasn't easy.
That
it wasn't
not
easy.
No, yeah.
So I deserve credit for that. No, overall, fantastic trip. Many highlights. But those are probably the ones I will take away most.
Thanks for that. Charles, the trip's come to an end. We had a few words at the beginning. Well, let me ask you about this place first. It's absolutely sensational. We're on the river. They're friends of yours, I believe. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so this is Ok Pop Tok, which is basically a program which is put together by a British lady called Jo, and they bring the little ladies down from some of the hill tribes, and they train them in the traditional weaving of the silk weaving, and they make some absolutely beautiful sort of silk clothing and materials. And she's built this up, I think, over the last 10-15 years, and I wanted to bring you guys here because it's such a special location. It's a great program that she has, but also I thought it would be a great place to watch the sun go down over our last day after our paddle along us slowly down the Mekong.
Yeah, well, slowly down the Mekong. Now, do you think you undersold this? I mean, how has it turned? Has it met your expectations?
Frankly, it's exceeded my expectations. I mean, for quite a few reasons. You know, as it's the first time we've really done anything like this, I mean, I tried also to not make it too complicated or not be too ambitious. The other thing I think was very, very special was just the quality and the people we had who joined us.
If you'd like to know more about A4D or would like to support and help in any way, then please follow the links.